Hey everyone, welcome to On the Rocks. I'm your trail guide, Claudia Collins, and I'm taking you along for my adventures as I check hikes, waterfalls, and other outdoor activities off of my Arizona bucket list. Today, join me for a staycation at the Saguaro Lake Guest Ranch. The Saguaro Lake Ranch is a hidden gem and desert oasis just 30 minutes from the edge of the city, making it the perfect Arizona escape.
If you're coming from out of town or looking for a staycation, look no further than the Saguaro Lake Guest Ranch. This is truly one of my favorite places, actually my favorite place in all of Arizona. I got married here, I kayak out of here all the time, and some of my very favorite hikes are right here in this area. But the accommodations, the food, just the views, everything, it is so spectacular here. So spend the next 24 hours with me at the Saguaro Lake Guest Ranch.
Before you check in, I recommend taking a hike. Particularly, I recommend the Butcher Jones Trail, which is just down the street from the ranch. This is the #1 hike I recommend for new and experienced hikers. It's not too challenging for beginners, and the views will impress even the most seasoned hikers. When we got to the ranch, we had everything we needed. A beautiful cabin, a hot shower, a comfy bed, and all the special touches and details that make this accommodation so unique. While the chefs were on the grill and the staff was prepping, families and friends were out enjoying lawn games, getting a drink from the bar, and even taking a dip in the heated pool, all while listening to live music.
Freedom, just another word for nothing left.
There's even a ranch dog, Bandit, who stole my heart and was probably equally excited about the brisket and burgers as I was. The lineup for dinner looked and tasted delicious. The meal was full of color and variety, with many sides to choose from, brisket that was smoked for over 20 hours in preparation for this meal, and burgers with all the toppings your heart could desire.
That's good.
I couldn't wait to sit down and take a bite of this meal. I also really loved the family-style dining. We got to know the couple sitting across from us and found so many small connections, all while listening to the live music and staring at the cliffs. So good. All the food was to die for. While guests and visitors were wrapping up their meal, the sun was beginning to set, turning the sky pink and purple and casting golden light on the edge of the cliffs. We took a walk at sunset to enjoy the scenery and visited the horses at the stables down the way. And we capped off the evening with s'mores, giving me that true nostalgic feeling of being at summer camp. Then we went inside to the Roundup Room, which is another very unique space with so many antique details and the coolest bar. We were going to just hang out for a little, but we couldn't resist using the pool table. Then we decided to pick out a board game and take it to the room before calling it a night. Not a bad place to wake up and catch the sunrise. We're a little bit late, but definitely still worth it. We caught the tail end of the sunrise, but still got to see the sky light up with pink and orange haze. We then took a little walk and ended up at the stables again. I just couldn't resist. And we even saw a wild horse nearby. It was just such a nice way to start the morning. One thing that you can always guarantee about the ranch is that the food is going to be so good. Dinner last night was fantastic. This morning, we're going to go into the lodge and get some breakfast. We arrived a little early to get our caffeine boost, and I also couldn't help but use the fresh orange juicer and was happy to see the oranges were local. We enjoyed our beverages in the main room of the lodge and loved looking at all the artwork, antiques, and beautiful furniture. We learned that many of the rugs are Navajo, and a lot of the furniture and antiques are original to the ranch, which is nearly 100 years old. Then breakfast was served. We had a wide selection, and it looked irresistible. Everything was so fresh and delicious, and I may or may not have gone back for seconds. My husband may have gone back for thirds. I've talked a lot about the details throughout the cabin. Everywhere you look, there's a nod to the saguaro, especially with the saguaro skeleton in the center of the dining room. This really is the more you look, the more you see situation, but the entire ranch is so well maintained and beautiful. After breakfast, we hung out in here for a while and looked at some of the books, played another board game, and enjoyed more coffee and tea. And then it was adventure time. There's a lot to choose from at the ranch. I've kayaked the Salt River from the ranch a handful of times. It's also an activity I always recommend to visitors.
The entire foxtail trip takes about 2 hours, depending on how fast the Salt River is flowing. There's a lot to see along the way, and it's always a magical experience. And one that almost always comes with wild horse sightings. And speaking of horses, you can also choose to go horseback riding from the stables. This also has spectacular views, and I have a soft spot for these sweet animals. The views are once again beautiful, and seeing things from horseback brings a whole new perspective. There's a bunch of different rides to choose from. I'd recommend a sunset trip. But today, I decided to do something new. We went kayaking on Saguaro Lake. I've been to the lake a number of times, mostly to hike Butcher Jones Trail, but this gave us a chance to explore the different coves and enjoy the lake in a new way. We spent 2 hours on the lake exploring before heading back to the cabin. They've really thought of every little detail here at the ranch. Before we leave, we get a boxed lunch that we can either take on an adventure or eat here. We just went on a little adventure on the lake, so we're gonna take in the views one last time before we go. But you won't get bored here. I mean, there's so many activities to do, and even if you just sat around for 2-3 days with these views, it just doesn't get old. For the perfect Arizona getaway, there's no better place than the Saguaro Lake Guest Ranch. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time on The Rocks.